This ain't gonna be long. Alonzo's actually on, so excuse me, it ain't gonna be long, but we need to start spending more time with our kids, working with our kids. And for those who don't have kids, you have nieces and nephews. You have people in your neighborhood, people at church that have kids. Spend more time giving more influence to them because it makes a big difference. I can't count how many people, elderly and above, in my life that have impacted my life some way, somehow, from my great grandmother to my granddad, you know, have all impacted my life. You know, yeah. Same as me. I have teenagers about to be 13 next year, twin boys. So my twins, oof, like from just me being the father and doing so much for them and having one of my brothers actually do as much as me. You know, my wife has about three brothers. I have about three brothers. Well, my wife has four brothers and one sister. And I got three brothers and one sister. And out of all them, there's only literally my brother, one of my brothers that actually, do the most to kind of, deal with my boys. And I appreciate it. It's something that he don't have to do, because a lot of times in this day and time, people are not as giving to the kids. People are not as, heartwarming to, you know, be there for kids as, when we were young, you know. When it come down to it, like if a parent is not, really having that relationship with their child, it's kind of lost, because when it comes down to it, a lot of parents, you know, if they're not having that one-on-one relationship with their child, loving their child, they got to turn to other people. That was the biggest thing back in the day where a lot of the boys turned to the streets and went to, joining gangs because they felt that sense of love, that sense of so-called brotherhood or something like that. Now that the gangs are not as popular, or kids, say the least, a lot of kids are not even in those environments no more to even get in those gangs. So it comes a time to where that relationship with the mother and father, or the kids having relationship amongst themselves, is far greater. You have an uncle, you have people don't even hardly go to church as much no more. You have kids in church where I had when I was young. It was an old man used to always get on me, get on my brothers. He used to come pick us up, make us cut, people at the church grass, come cut, things, just do things just to get us to, be around male role models, you know. And that was a thing, a lot of times these kids don't have nobody to talk to, you know. Same with me. I could always talk to my great grandmother about anything, you know. I can tell her, I can be upfront with her about stuff, and she laughs. She give me her opinion. She tell me how old she is, so her opinion might don't matter. But at the same time, I took a lot of stuff into consideration. Even with knowledge right now, a lot of times I was telling you previously a video to where one of my play cousins, he was talking about how his dad was into real estate, had about 20 houses at one point he was renting out, and he don't even know the first thing about buying a house. This guy's like in his 30s. And I was like, well, you blaming your dad for this situation where you don't know. I'd be like, but did you ever ask him? That's the thing. Some kids, you think they're not ready, and that's why you don't you don't really kind of teach them. Like my wife, she was getting on me because my son went and bought some from the store, and he took his money and slid it on the counter. I told him that's disrespectful. You put the money in someone's hand just as they would give you the money in your hand. That's disrespectful. Don't slide nobody. Don't slide your money or the money whoever you're paying on the counter. I said that's disrespectful. He said okay. He's 12 years old. My wife, oh, I say no, but this is the thing. He has to get scarred about this so he won't do it again. Because otherwise, not teaching your kids at a young age when they make mistakes to get on them, they're gonna constantly keep making this mistake, and it's gonna be a representation of you. And that's when I told my wife. I said, if the kids grow up and become misfits and act up, my older two, they do little stuff, but they're very mannered and respectful. And like I told my wife, if it comes to something where they have to get in trouble, then so be it. I'd rather my kids go to jail, learn a lesson, and come out being a better person. My wife was like, well, what if they die in prison? Then that's the way life goes. Sometimes parents want to be so loving till they put their kids in a bad situation. Prime example with the Charleston White thing. Charleston White had the ability to get out of jail when he was 18, but his mother told him to keep him in there because of the program that he was going through was helping him. Even though he was going through the motions of being a hellraiser behind the scenes, it built him into another person because he could have been lost in the system, never seen from again. His behaviors that he had influenced other people to, follow him and be this, horrific person. The image that he puts out now, it's all entertainment. The more I started learning about this man, knowing about him being in Congress, writing laws, advocate for kids, advocates for people in jail, I'm like, he's doing what the rappers are doing. Most of the rappers are not even gangsters. I tell my son that all the time. Like, I bring you to certain neighborhoods and show you how bad it is out here, where people selling drugs, people are homeless, people haven't took baths in 3, 4 days, compared to the stuff that they rap about. And you pull up certain rappers where they from, they never lived that life. They talk about stuff they never went through. And the amazing thing with these kids, like, oh man, like they're looking at the images of things that's going on. Kids are so easily influenced nowadays. My biggest thing, like I said, was when I went through life, my role models were people that I can reach out and touch. I can talk to. My coaches, you know, they were excellent role models for me. My coaches were my biggest role model. I looked up to a basketball player like Michael Jordan, but I was at a stage in my life and smart enough to know that that guy he wasn't gonna do anything for me. While this coach right here, when I first started wrestling, one of my coaches bought me a pair of wrestling shoes because he wanted me to wrestle that bad. My grandma was like, "Well, I just bought him football shoes. I don't know about him doing wrestling too." And then I ended up doing track after that, so I ended up having to buy my own running shoes for track and field. So when it came down to it, my coaches influenced my life more than a Jordan, more than a Denzel Washington or any of these actors. They were entertaining. I liked the entertaining aspect of it, but they never to a point where I said, man, I want to be just like that. If anything, the drug dealer in the community you know, would be more of an influence than the person I seen on TV, because I can talk to this guy in person. I can get information from this person, whether it be right or wrong. So I was never big on having a celebrity as my role model. I wanted to be able to shake my role model's hand. And that's what more or less I kind of pushing towards my kids, about that. These celebrities, you know, they don't even know you. You're just another fan. Remember them Eminem had his stands. All the stands were his biggest fans. And that's what a lot of people go through, just having a lot of stands, you know. And it comes to a point to where we have to start teaching our kids, showing our kids better. That's why I try to speak more on finance to where you can tell your kid, come there. Like I did this to my son. I've showed him how much I made. I showed him, I said, look, these are the bills I gotta pay for this week. These are the bills I gotta pay for the rest of the month. And my son looks and said, Daddy, dang, you spend all that money, you ain't gonna have no money left. Oh yeah, I gotta buy groceries. Then you say you wanted some Jordans? Yeah, let's see how much I can get with the Jordans after I pay all the bills and buy groceries and get gas, fill up the cars. And they realize, like, you make enough to survive, but you don't make enough to live at a state of mind of being wealthy. No matter how much money I can make, $10,000 a month. My expenses are gonna be close to that 10,000. You know why? The old rule of thumb: more money, more problems. The more money you make, the more you're gonna have a habit of spending. So when it comes down to it, I'm wanting to buy more stuff because I have more money. That's the whole rule of budgeting. To budget to where you have a little more to start saving and not just keeping it in the bank. Knowing about that passive income to where you start buying and doing, let your money work for you. That's the whole critical thing. Like I was telling my son, I was like, I get you this new iPhone, you're just gonna have a new iPhone. I want you to learn something. I was just looking at something about trades, and I was telling my son that an elevator tech makes $50 an hour fixing on elevators. And they was like, what? I was like, yeah, this is a trade. Plumbers make like 40 some bucks an hour. Electricians make up to that. They was like, man, wow. And I'm like, yeah. I seen this one with South Park where they was talking about all the people that went to college 4 years in debt was mad because they could have went to a 6 week or 6 month trade and already in their career. So, hey, needless to say, just be there for your kids. Give more information. And like I said, people who are not parents, I understand. You have nieces and nephews. I've said this once before about my friend. He has no kids, never been married, and he don't think he's gonna get married due to the pretty much height of the women that are out here now that he deal with. And so the biggest thing for him is like I told him, still get life insurance, give it to your nieces and nephews. There's not nobody in your family that you can give money to, none of your friends. I've said this once before. If I never got kids, the first thing I would have did was try to implement getting my life insurance that I had at a young age to my friend's son because he was my godson. Other than that, hey, life lessons. But I'm gonna go ahead and jump off him and try to get back over there to Alonzo. Once again, you know, teach your kids something, show them something, let them understand that hey, you care because as parents, we might be the only true relationship that they have. So we got to be there for them. I always say, we here and we gone.